Okay, so we're going to talk about tonight the first type of love. Okay, it is pronounced. Okay, before I even pronounce it, I want somebody to guess.
Storge.
Storage?
Storge.
Jake. Storge. Wow.
Oh,
Yeah. It is
that.
pronounced that way. That is actually correct. So good job, Jake. Thank you.
Good job,
Jacob.
Jacob. He told me the answer. That's unfair.
Storge. Okay, so it is a Greek word, so obviously that's why you've never seen it before. And if you have seen it before, you're learning. So the first question we obviously got to ask, and this is going to go with your notes, what is storge, right? We got to figure out what is storge. What kind of love are we dealing with here? So here is the definition of storge. Natural or instinctual affection. Natural or instinctual affection. So what we're talking about here, who doesn't know, have you guys ever heard the word instinct before? Please tell me yes.
Yeah.
So it's something that is just innate, it's within you as a human being. You don't have to be taught it. It is just part of who you are. It's natural, it's instinctual, okay? So natural or instinctual affection. But in order to give you guys a better understanding of what I'm talking about, I want to give you 3 different kinds of relationships that you would have storge love in. The first one is going to be parents and children. So the love that a parent has for their child is the easiest and most natural of love that you can imagine on the planet, right? There's a natural sense of love that is there. Okay, between parents and children. The same is also true between siblings, brothers and sisters. Now, you may say, no, I hate my brother, I hate my sister. But listen, at the end of the day, 99% of the time, if anybody else was messing with your sibling, you would beat the crap out of that person.
I would.
You may have some temporary surface level beefs, but when it comes down to it, you know your siblings are going to be ride or die. Now, hey, there's some outstanding circumstances, all right? But generally speaking, this is you have a natural bond with your siblings, right? And then of course, extended family. This is talking about your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, your great aunts, your great grandmother, your great 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 grandmother, and those weird third cousins that you only see once every 5 years, right? All those people. You have a question related to this?
No, I just want to say that I don't say hate. Hate is a strong word.
Oh my God.
That's very brave of you. I've never, listen, you shouldn't hate anybody, all right? But some people are going to say that they hate their siblings, so I had to address it, all right?
I don't.
But you're saying, so you'll notice the pattern here in all these relationships. These are people that you're related to. Because this is what the storge, hey, I need y'all to listen. I don't want to compete. This is what storge love is about. It's that natural, instinctual love and affection that is there between family members. Now, do you get to choose the family that you're born into?
No.
No, right? Some of us wish we could. Right? I wish that I could. But you just are born into a family, you're born into a situation, and that's the situation that you're given. And even maybe, listen, I know there are kids that are adopted, they're in the foster care system. But even then, it's the people that you live with, that you do life with, that is storge love. There's that affection for those that you are closest to, that you live with, that you do life with. This is not about friendship. Friendship is a different thing, and we're going to talk about that later in the series. But storge love specifically has to do with that natural, instinctual affection with people that you live around. Okay? So now we can talk about, okay, why storge is important, right? Why is it so important, Tyler, that I love my family when I don't want to? Why is it so important? The idea of parents loving their children, children loving their parents, and all the rest. You know, I don't really like my parents. Maybe you're in a situation where you think your parents suck. And hey, I'll take it further. Maybe they do suck. Maybe your parents have hurt you before. Maybe your siblings have betrayed you in some deep way, and you actually do have a long-standing issue with them, and you don't want to be around them. No matter the situation that you're in, whether you have a good relationship with your family or a bad one, or you don't know your family, regardless of the situation, storge love is still important. So I want to talk about why. I want to talk about why this kind of love is so emphasized in the Bible, and why it is going to be helpful to us as Christians and also in society. So here's the first reason why storge love is important. Here's the main one. It gives children a foundation. It gives children a foundation. Okay, so a foundation, to make it as simple as possible, is the starting point, right? Not like literally like I'm going to lay out concrete for a child to stand on, but it gives children a foundation. It gives them something to build off of in life. Okay, so when we think about this, obviously, if there is affection and love from a parent to a child, the child feels welcome in their home, they feel loved by their parents soothe them and comfort them and love them, then obviously then the children, they desire to be home in your family. If you don't have parents that show or demonstrate affection to you, or people at home, that leaders of the home, whatever the situation or dynamic you have, if they don't demonstrate love and affection towards you, right, the desire to be home is just not there. If home is not a place of affection and love, then it's not a place of warmth and a place that you feel like you want to go to. And a lot of young people I have seen be in situations where they don't feel loved by their parents. And they don't want to go home. They will look for every opportunity to get away from home because they, in their experience, is the exact opposite of this. They don't get that affection. They don't get that I love you from their parents. They don't get that encouragement that they should. But in a healthy sense, this is why Storge is important, because when parents demonstrate affection, kids desire to be home and be near family, but then it gives children a picture of God's love for them. Did y'all know? Something crazy, all right? We go way back to the first human beings, Adam and Eve. They did not have a natural mother and father as we all do, right? So who was Adam's father? God, right? That's literally directly above Adam. There was God. So Adam, being the first man, was given a responsibility by God. So God made man first, then He created woman, and then He put them together in marriage, and God gave them a responsibility. He said to be fruitful and what? Y'all remember? For those of y'all who remember? Be fruitful and multiply means have kids, right? Go out there, have kids. And here is Adam's responsibility, and Eve's, but really Adam's because he's supposed to be the man of the house. The relationship between parents and children is supposed to be a picture between us and God. Did y'all know that? There's supposed to be a demonstration where the father of the home is representing God the Father, and the children are representing the church. Right? And so there's all kinds of different things going on there, but very simply put, and with Storge love, parents ought to be giving their children a picture of God's love for them. And when parents are not demonstrating Storge, they're not helping their children desire to be home, they're not giving their children a picture of God's love for them, then that foundation that children are supposed to have that's stable and secure is now going to start to crumble. That natural, healthy family dynamic is not going to be there if Storge is not present. But by the way, this goes both ways. Children should also love their parents, right? Because I've also seen the opposite, where I know some parents, man, they love their kids to death, and they would do anything for them. But those kids are mean, man. They're mean, they're disrespectful without cause. They're just rude. They're constantly vindictive towards their parents. They constantly go against what their parents say, even if it's reasonable. And I've seen the opposite situation as well. So let's just say it's supposed to go both ways. I have a verse for you guys. I need y'all, Micah, I need you to pay attention. I'm going to split you. This is your one warning. The notes are here. I know, but you're talking a lot. I don't want you interrupting. That's the issue.
There's one there and there's one over by me.
Welcome. Join. Get in here. Get in here. All right. So I have a verse I want to read to you guys real quick, and it's Proverbs 22:6. Let me get there. Okay. Here's what it says. Hey, I need you to sit. No, there's not time for talking.
There's a spot up here
You
for
can come
you.
sit anywhere. It doesn't matter where. Y'all gonna hang out later.
We'll have time after for y'all to hang out.
Real. Just, if you guys are asking, hey, what did that note say because I missed it, that's fine. But if you're having a full-fledged conversation, I'm going to have to split you up. Don't make me act like your teacher at school. Just
And if you want the notes at the end, we can get them.
Yes. Okay, so here's the verse. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it. The Bible gives this command to parents. If you're going to demonstrate love and affection towards your children, you need to train them up in the way that they should go so that when that child is old, they will never depart from it. But if parents are not setting the tone and setting the example, it's going to be a lot harder for children to want to follow the lead of their parents if their parents are not leading. So it's very important that parents demonstrate that natural affection towards their own children or grandparents or whatever the situation is so that that child can be raised up in a healthy home and have a good example to follow for the rest of their life. Now you may say, Tyler, I don't have that home. I've got parents or guardians who are not affectionate towards me and they don't treat me right. And listen, I'm not saying that that is right. That's wrong. They should be treating you right. But then this is good advice for you to take so you don't repeat that same mistake with your children. You give your children the home that your parents didn't give you. Don't repeat the mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes. God gives us a way out. Right? That's my encouragement to you, is it doesn't have to stay that way. That God can bring you out of that and give you a better way to follow than what your parents did. And I'm going to talk more about that at the end, but I just want to say that for now. Okay, here's the second way, here's the second reason, rather, why Storge love is important. It keeps families together. It keeps families together. Okay, now, I'm going to give you guys a very simple example of what I'm talking about. Well, I'll go ahead and read this and I'll give you my example. So, healthy families work through conflict and show love even when they disagree. Right? Healthy families work through conflict and show love even when they disagree. I'll say this right now, right? In my family, okay, we do not all have the same opinion on everything. Is that crazy? Now, y'all know I have some crazy opinions on things, and I will sometimes give those opinions without being asked, all right? And sometimes I can cause some controversy among those of my friends and family. Okay, but that rarely happens. It almost never happens, but every now and then. Right, Shay? Every now and then. But at the end of the day, I may have a passionate disagreement with a cousin, with an uncle, with not really my siblings and brothers and sisters. They just accept that I'm right about it. They never argue with me. But it's really everybody else, my equals, right? We're always fighting and arguing and disagreeing. But at the end of the day, I have never once had a disagreement end in a, I hate you. I don't ever want to see you again. It's never happened in my family. Because we demonstrate this natural affection towards each other, even when we passionately disagree. That doesn't turn into hatred. Now, do we see this a lot in our culture today? Or do we see the opposite? Yeah. When people disagree, oh, you don't like who I like for president? Then you're basically an evil person and I hate you and I don't want to be friends with you anymore. People go way over the top over little things. Little bitty things. And people do not demonstrate. And even I've seen so many families broken up over the tiniest of disagreements. The most goofy of stuff. You're like, why is this even an argument? Why are you even fighting? But I've seen it. Right? But if there is Storge love, that natural and familiar affection, that when there is disagreement, the family is still glued together. You're not family because you agree on everything. You're not family because you always have the same opinions. You're family because you have that inherent, intrinsic, natural love that can't be broken. That's Storge love. That's what we're talking about. And so I got a verse for that. I got a verse for everything. Right? But I got a verse for this. I want to read this to you. 1 Timothy 5:8, here's what it says. But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Wow. So remember, this is Christians talking to other Christians. And this is what was the Apostle Paul, this is what he wrote out here. He says, listen, here's the bar. That if you are a Christian, and you are in any household, whether you're a parent, hey, I need you to put your phone away. Oh no, you're writing on your phone. I swear I thought you were typing on. I was about to be Emma. Don't test me today. But you're right, that's fine. Okay. 1 Timothy 5. Okay, so he's saying, listen, if you are a Christian and you live in a house, which is, I'm pretty sure all of us, regardless of you're the parent or the child, regardless of that situation, if you refuse to provide for the needs of those living with you, especially when you have the ability, because you have hatred or whatever reason, you are worse than someone who doesn't even believe. I didn't say that. God says that in His Word. That's how deeply God cares about us taking care of our family and loved ones. That even if we disagree with them, that even if they've mistreated us, I still have the obligation myself to love them and to support them. And that doesn't mean you support their decisions if their decisions are wrong. That means I'm going to support them. If I was, let's say my father, let's say me and my dad, we had a huge argument and we never wanted to see each other, or my dad never wanted to see me again, and he grows old and he loses his job and he's about to go homeless, I have the responsibility as his son to take care of him. Okay, that's what this is talking about, that even if you have a sharp disagreement, that you should never abandon your family in their time of need. Otherwise, you're violating what the Bible says, and it says you're worse than an unbeliever if you refuse to provide and take care of your own family when they have need of it. Okay, so it's not saying support wrong or bad decisions. It's saying give them support in terms of like help them to live if they're in need of assistance. Don't abandon them. And one of the saddest things, and I had a weird choke out. I'm not crying. But one of the saddest things that I've seen in our culture today, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it used to be years and years and years and years ago, like in the time of the dinosaurs, basically, your grandparents, all right? It used to be the case that when you grow up and you get married and you have a kid and you start a family, that when your grandparents got too old to take care of themselves, they would come live with you. And you would take care of them. They would spend their remaining days around family being loved, fed, and cared for. Nowadays, it is more common that grandparents are sent off to nursing homes and left there to die on their own. Where now families, because they don't want to be inconvenienced by their own parents, would rather send their parents off to die alone than live with them. Now, I'm not judging you if your family has made a decision like this. What I'm saying is, think about if you were in that situation, if you were those grandparents, and you didn't have the ability to live on yourself. You're getting old, you're kind of doing the little walks, you got to have a cane, you can't really cook. Wouldn't you prefer to live with your actual family for the rest of your days? Now, not me. I'd rather die alone, trust me. But for most grandparents, I promise you, they really would have preferred to be around their children and their grandchildren. So again, it's not as if I'm telling y'all, like, y'all aren't making those decisions. None of y'all are like married with kids, and I'm not talking to you guys, but I'm saying something to think about when you guys get older. This is one example, I think, of that. Do we have enough love for our family to provide for them, or are we abandoning them when they have needs? Again, not now. This is for later. So put it on lockdown and save it for later, and you can work that out, down the road, all right? Just a little tidbit. Okay, let me go on to the next point. Here's the third reason of why Storge is so important. It makes strong nations. Tyler, what does that have to do with family? Now hear me out, all right? I want to explain. It makes strong nations. But Tyler, why do I care about the nation? Okay, here's why. Think in terms of Christians for a second. What God's intention for the household is that both parents would be Christians, that they would bring their kids to church, that they would raise Christian children, and that their children would grow up, get married to other Christians, and have Christian children. So by doing this, we're multiplying the number of Christians in society, right? And we're having a continual growth of the Christian community. So why is this so important for us? Well, we cannot be effective Christians in society without strong families. That if I was to get up here, and I can preach to you guys the Word of God for days on end probably if I really try. All right? And I can preach the Word of God really well, and I can know this Bible really well, I can live it out really well, but if my family life is a mess, and if I have hatred in my heart for my parents over something they did that I refuse to forgive them for, and if I'm not loving my wife like I should, and if I'm not demonstrating affection towards my own children, and I'm not taking care of the needs of my family, then how much does any of my head knowledge mean if it is not expressing itself in love for my family? Would y'all trust me if y'all knew that my family was a mess, but I'm sitting here teaching you how to lead your family? Absolutely not. That in order for me to grow in my faith, it's kind of important that the people that I live with are all also growing in their faith too. Because you guys go to school, right? How many hours a day? 6, 7 hours a day? Right? 8? That sounds horrible. That's a full-time job that you don't even get paid for. All right? I get it. I was there. So you go to school for a lot of hours a day. But did you know this? That even with all the time you spend at school, you still spend well over half of your life living at home with your family. Being with them, even if it's sleeping, that still counts. All right? Living under their protection. You're going to spend most of your life living with people. The people that you live with. It is very important. And God desires that everybody in that home would be a Christian. That's the ideal. Now you're saying, Tyler, I don't have that. I know. But this is why I'm talking about this. Because there's so many young people, and listen, there's a lot of y'all here right now that you've been coming to youth group, you've been coming to youth events, youth activities, you try to come as often as you can, but your parents don't want to take you to church. They don't want to take you to youth activities, even though they can. They'll make excuses, they'll do all these things, you'll even invite them to church and they'll go, nah, I'm so busy, and then you wake up Sunday morning and they're just sleeping in. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I know that y'all seen this stuff, and it frustrates you. But when there is a family working together, they're all Christian, they all have the same goals, they all have the same minds, parents giving an example of God's love to their children loving and respecting their parents, and you have that healthy dynamic, that Christian family has the ability to go to places that me as an individual Christian could never do. Guys, there's so much that God has blessed me with in my life, and my family's not perfect. Those of y'all know my story. My parents split up when I was 8 years old. It was a very, very nasty thing, and I hated every minute of that, going through that as a young kid. But the one thing that kept my family together was the fact that everybody in it was a Christian. And despite all the nastiness that came from the divorce, it was not enough to break me, because there was still Storge love present. There was healing over time. There was redemption. Relationships were mended. And things ended up okay because of Storge love in my family. And I've seen the opposite in families that are not Christian. When there's a split, it's a civil war. And kids get caught in the middle of that. And they get told lies to try to join these different sides, when all the kids want is just for their parents to come to church with them. I understand that, guys. But this is why it is so important that no matter your situation, where it is at now, what I'm encouraging you to do is this: fight for your family. Don't give up on inviting your parents and your extended family and your siblings to church. Because I promise you, if you bug them enough and you drive them insane, they will eventually say yes. And maybe it is just that one trip to church that they need to hear the right message at the right time. And hopefully God can do something in them to get them here and y'all can come as a family. I want to see that for every person in this youth group. I want y'all to be able to have families coming here. I love picking you guys up because I love talking to you, but I would much rather your parents bring you if possible. And I know that you guys would prefer that because that would be awesome, right? Now, I'll still pick you up, even if your parents are bringing you, maybe every now and then I'll still pick you up anyway, all right? Just so we can hang out, all right? That being said, Christians need to have strong families in order to really grow in our faith. Now, you can still grow, even if your family's in a bad shape. Listen, that doesn't mean you're doomed, okay? Not by any means. There are a lot of, guys, in the Bible, the disciples, a lot of them lost their families because by becoming Christian. They were denounced and disowned by their families. The 12 disciples, we're talking about the greatest Christians who've ever lived. Okay? It's not like it's doom and gloom and there's no hope if your family doesn't come to church. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is it certainly helps when your family is here together. It is the bedrock. Any nation, any country that does not have strong family units, it is only a matter of time for that country is destroyed. And I hate to see the divorce rate be as high as it is. I hate to see that adoption and foster care are through the roof. I'm glad to see kids getting adopted. I'm not saying I'm against that. I'm saying I would rather these kids be at home with their families. I know we don't live in that place, but wouldn't we like to see our country have strong families again? Wouldn't we like to see a healthy home life for everybody here? Isn't that our desire? So no matter where you grew up, keep this goal in mind. You want to have a strong family when you're ready for that. That you want to give your kids the life that you may not have had. And hey, if you did grow up in a strong family, your family does bring you to church. Oh, we got some of that in here. I know how that was me when I was growing up. Then hey, keep that thing going. Keep that snowball going down the hill. Make it bigger, bigger, bigger. You know, if your parents had 3 kids, then you go off and have 6 kids, right? Just keep doubling it or something, right? Keep the ball rolling. But we need to have strong families. So whether you have that now or whether God maybe gives you an opportunity to have that for yourself down the road, we need to have strong families if we're going to have a strong Christian society. And we want to see divorces go down. We want to see the need for adoption go down. Because everybody's at home with their loving family. So I have a verse. I know it took me like a while to get back around to this verse. But I got a verse. Psalm 127, verses 4 through 5. And here's what it says. It says, like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. The Bible itself understands the value of strong families and having children that are raised according to God's Word. Because you think, how many guys have seen the, I don't know, has anybody seen the show Green Arrow? Does anybody maybe some of y'all have? But we all know Hawkeye, right, from the Avengers? Okay, I'm not going to lie, I kind of lost interest in that altogether, but the first Avengers movie, the first Avengers movie, that was when Hawkeye was introduced, and I'll never forget, there was that scene where, first of all, he got taken over by Loki or something. He got mind control. I don't know if y'all, it's like an old movie now. It's like 2012. Anyway, so he's like bad guy for a little bit, and then he has like this quiver. And it's so cool because every time he puts it, he has an arrow, he'll like have this button he'll press, and he can choose what kind of arrowhead he wants to put on that individual arrow. So he's like flipping through, he has like a destructive, like a bomb arrow, he has one that's like a laser pointer, all this cool stuff, and he gets the exact arrow that he wants and it's like 2 miles away, something like completely ridiculous, and just like blow somebody up. But it was a cool scene just because of the fact that like, hey, this is what this is talking about. Not like literally talking about Hawkeye, but the idea being that a warrior back in these days, your arrows were your ammunition. You don't have arrows, you can't fight. In the same way, imagine if all Christians stopped caring about having families, stopped caring about getting married, stopped caring about raising strong households. What's going to happen if we stop having kids as Christians and stop having families? We're going to stop existing. How are we going to have the influence in society if we're not training up having kids and then training them to replace us when I'm gone? Can you be quiet? Well, if you wouldn't have your phone out, you would have dropped it. Oh, I got you there. Anyway, so if we want to be able to fight, we want to be able to put Satan to shame, we want to have Christians and a strong Christian society grow, we've got to have kids and we've got to train them up the way that they should go. We've got to show them that Storge affection so that we can stay glued together no matter what happens to this country. I'll tell you guys this. I'm not worried about World War III. I'm not worried about anything going on in this country. I know. You know why? Because I know that when I go home tonight, I've got a lot of family. We are building a literal commune right now. I'm not even kidding. Like, if y'all ever been down to my grandparents, Mimi and Bobo's house, you know that like almost half our family is living on that one street, man. We're building houses there, nice houses. We got property. We got like, my great-grandmother has like cattle. We got our own personal shooting range. Like, dude, we are set. And no, you cannot come join me with, no, if the zombie apocalypse happens, maybe I'll make an exception. But, hey, we're building up a community, right? We're building the family compound. Now, it's not an actual compound. I'm not crazy, okay? It's not like we have giant walls and like, but, that'd be cool if we did, though. I'm not going to lie. But I know that my family's going to be here. What is up with women, man? Like, you always all go to the restroom at the same time. Like, every time I see a guy go, they'll literally wait for the other guy to get back before going. He's like, I don't want to be in the restroom. I don't be in the restroom with that dude.
Not these
I don't know.
I think I know what. They hold each other up because they're scared to touch the seat.
No. Okay, but I want to continue on. Hey, we're almost done. We're almost done. I got some biblical examples of healthy families that I want to show. I got two, and then we're gonna be done. So here's some biblical examples that I want you guys to listen to. The first is Jairus and his daughter. How? Who's Jairus? I've never heard of him. Is that like Jesus' cousin or something? Jairus and his daughter. And so the summary is this. Jairus would do anything to see his daughter here. So actually I'm going to read that myself. Sorry, I did not put the verse on the screen. So you're just going to have to listen to my semi-soothing voice, I guess. I don't know. Not really. And every time, who hates the sound of their own voice when you hear it on camera?
Me.
Most people. It's so funny because like everybody else, listen, think about this. If you hate the sound of your own voice, think about everybody else who knows you has to listen to you every day.
I know, I'm so annoying.
I'm just kidding. But honestly, it's always weird because you hear yourself differently than how other people do. They're used to it. They don't think it's weird. You're the only one that does.
And your camera, like, it changes it. It changes your voice.
What?
A little. No.
No, like a little bit, like the way your voice sounds on camera is a little tiny bit different than it is.
I will say this. I'm so used to hearing myself on camera because of all like the stuff that I do for my job that I've already accepted it, and I'm not even bothered by it. Anyway, okay, here, Mark 5:21. I'm going to read this story really quick so you guys get an idea. So, it says, and when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was beside the sea. And then came one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and seeing Jesus, he fell at his feet. And he asked him earnestly, saying, my little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, that she may be made well and live. And so Jesus went with him. And I'm going to skip down to where this happens. And he says, okay. And then he said to her, so Jesus is talking to this daughter. She's on her deathbed, basically dead. And he says to her, daughter, whoa, no, hold on. Sorry. I lied. Okay. Sorry, the Bible is like, sometimes it like jumps around. So I have to jump around with it. Okay, they came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and Jesus saw a commotion and people weeping and wailing loudly. And when he had entered, he said to them, why are you making this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but sleeping. And they laughed at him, right? Because they're like, no, she's dead. Like, Jesus, you missed it. She's literally dead. And you're saying she's sleeping? Are you dumb? They're like laughing out of like anger, like, are you serious right now? She's definitely dead. And so it says, then Jesus, right? It says they laughed at him, but he put them all aside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in where the child was. And taking her by the hand, he said to her, little girl, I say to you, arise. And immediately the girl got up and began walking. She was 12 years of age, and they were immediately overcome with amazement. Okay, so I want to think about this for a second. Jesus was known in his time as being a healer. Everybody knew that he had a divine nature. Everybody knew that he could heal. And so everybody, you gotta like stop making noise. Okay, everybody in this place knew about that, and everybody was constantly wanting to see Jesus. And so this man, with his daughter on the deathbed, it's a desperate situation. He still goes out to find it. He's doing whatever he can to see that his little daughter is taken care of. He's going away from his day job. He's taking time off of work. Whatever, and he's going across the country to find Jesus. Remember, back in the day, all right, it's not like they had Google Maps. It's not like they had the Snapchat, location thing, all right? They couldn't just see where let me check Snapchat. Oh, he's over here. Let me go find. No. This was like a wild, you talk about needle in a haystack. This is like needle in the desert stack, all right? This is like hard to find. It just don't think about it that much, and it does make sense. But so Jairus goes out of his way because of his affection for his daughter. She means everything to him, right? And that's how a parent should respond when their child is in need. That's what we see there. So Jairus and his daughter. And I have a second example I want to give you guys. Mary and Jesus. Jesus? If y'all remember, Mary was the what to Jesus? The mother of Jesus. Hopefully, we all know that. All right. Let's see. So I'm going to read this real quick, and I'm going to get to the actual passage. So Jesus acted as the man of his home and took care of his mom. And I'm going to show you how he did this. So we're going to go to John chapter 19, verse 25. Here we go. All right. I need to mark my places next time. Really do. Okay, John 19:25, here's what it says. So at this point, Jesus is on the cross. He's being crucified, by the way. He's within moments of dying. And his mother, Mary, is there watching him meet his death at the hands of the Roman soldiers. So this is an extremely sad and gruesome thing to see. In case you don't know, crucifixion is one of the most bloody and horrible ways to die. Like, I'm talking, it's comparable to dying in a fire. The amount of pain and suffering that you go through before you actually die. So she's watching her son crucified on this cross. And here's what it says. 19:25. And it says, "But standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary and Mary Magdalene. And when Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, 'Woman, behold your son.' And then he said to the disciple, 'Behold your mother.' And from that hour the disciple took her to his own home." So you're saying, what just happened there? John, the disciple that was one of the closest to Jesus, was standing there also at the scene of the crucifixion. And Jesus, through his bloody eyes, looks over to see his mom weeping, about to be alone. Because at this point, Jesus' father, Joseph, he's been dead for years now. He's not in the picture anymore. And in that society, if you were a woman and you did not have anybody to be the man at home, you were going to be in a lot of danger. So Jesus looks at his mother as he's dying and looks to one of his best friends and tells his mom, "Behold, this is your son now." And he tells to him, "Listen, that's your mother now." What he was saying is, take care of her for me. Be the son to her that she needs you to be, because I'm not going to be here anymore. Y'all see the powerful love that Jesus displayed towards his mother on that cross? Now, can I just ask you guys a question? Have you ever demonstrated that level of love for your mother before? Your father? You've died on the cross before? No. I'm not saying you've never done anything even remotely comparable. But that should be the example that we follow, right? That, hey, if I was in a situation where I was in severe pain, that I knew I was going to die, I ought to be thinking about my family and loved ones more than my own self. That's the kind of Storge love that God calls us to for our families. God's not saying you have to die on a cross in order to prove it. What he's saying is, are you willing to think about your own family even in your own last days? Despite everything, all the disagreements you may have had, do you still have enough love for them to look out and take care of them and make sure that they're going to be okay if you're not there? That's what Jesus did for his mother. Powerful, powerful thing. And I hope only that I can have that much love for my own mom. My dad knows, of course. Me and my dad are like, bro, I'm a daddy for it, right? So, but of course I still love my mom. But that's just isn't that an incredible kind of thing? Just a little bit of a tearjerker if you're a crier, you know? Okay. So I have one more thing I want to share with you guys. It's not a slide, it's not on your notes, but it's a quote from a Christian theologian and pastor. His name is D.L. Moody. You may have never heard of him before, but here's your introduction. I want to read you what he says about family, because I think this is important, and then we're going to be done. He says this. He says, "I believe the family was established long before the church, and my duty is to my family first. I am not to neglect my family." So, now, you guys may be saying, what does that mean for me, though? What this means is that God, before he ever created the church, he first made man, woman, and family. That was the first institution. Hey, are y'all paying attention?
Yes.
That was the first institution that God made. I need you to pay attention. Okay? He made family before he made government. He made family before he made the church. He made family before he made companies. And everything else that we know of today, family was made first. God was telling us something in that. He wants us to have a higher priority on loving our families and treating them well and taking care of them before even our responsibilities at church. Did y'all know this? That my duties to wife have a higher... My duties to Shay, I said that weird. My duties to Shay, to wife, talk like caveman. My duties to Shay have a higher priority than my duties to you guys. Now, I love y'all as the youth pastor, of course.
No, you don't.
But my duty to her and my future kids, they're coming at some point.
What?
They're probably cooking in the oven.
Yes, sir.
My duty is to them first. So it means if there's ever a contradiction, if me being and serving as a youth pastor ever takes more time away from my family than it should, then I have an obligation to step down or step away from my duties as a youth pastor to take care of my family. That's how serious God wants you to take your families. That nothing else should take, except for your relationship with God Himself, nothing else should take priority over your family. That's how seriously God takes it. But in today's world, sports, entertainment, careers, money, anything oftentimes takes the place over our own families. And guys, listen, I know y'all are busy. You're at school for 8 hours a day.
So long.
Then you got homework. Then some of you guys got athletics. And you got all these things going on. And listen, here's my challenge to you. Here's my challenge to you. Do you love your family?
Maybe.
Are you making time for them? Listen, have you made sacrifices necessary so that you can spend more time? Maybe you're saying, hey, I've got some problems at home. I've got some hard relationships. You know what can help to fix that? If you were to be willing to sacrifice some fun things to go spend some one-on-one time with that family member you're having trouble with, without yelling, you don't have to yell at them, you don't have to scold them, but just spending one-on-one time, hanging out with your own family. Not enough people do that these days, guys. It used to be common that every single day, families would come home and have a big dinner, and they would talk about each other's day. Now, you're going to order food, you're going to order Pizza Hut, you're going to do whatever you want, you're going to go in your room, and you're going to shut yourself off from your family.
That's what I do.
Is that what God is asking us to do? Is that setting, are we showing love to our families if that's how we live? Again, you're busy. I know, you got all these things. Make time for your family. Make time to invite them to church. Make time to remind your siblings that you love them. Make time to even remind your parents that, hey, I love you. And they think, why are you telling me that? I just want to remind you. That reminder means a lot. And no matter what your situation is at home, listen. And by the way, and I've said this 100 million times, I'll say it 100 million times more. Any advice that you guys need in dealing with problems at home, problems at school, you can come to us. You can tell us anything you want. It does not go beyond me and Shay. All right, anything that you tell us, it does not go and spread around the church. I don't go and spread rumors about you. Okay. And if you have things going on at home, you're like, man, I really want to know, how do I love my family when I got this, this, and this? Or how do I love my family if I'm so busy? Or how do I love my family more? I feel like I love them so much already. Whatever the situation is, you can come talk to me and Shay whenever you want. Our phone numbers are on the board. You know what? We're right here if you want to talk to us. Okay? But the Bible, listen, the loving your family is not a suggestion in the Bible, it's a command. Having Storge love is not optional. It's required. Even if it is not shown to you. Because, hey, listen, have you ever heard the saying, it takes two people to fight?
No. No.
You never?
No.
It takes two to tango? Have you heard that?
No.
Okay. The point of that saying is the fight only keeps going if both people keep fighting. It's not a fight if only one person's yelling at a brick wall and the other person's walked away and said, I'm done fighting.
You.
So hey, apply that to your family. It takes two to tango. Are you willing to be the one to stop the fighting? Start showing that Storge love. Okay, that's what I got for you guys. That's Storge love. Hope you learned something. I'm going to say a word of prayer really quick. Then we're going to transition to some free time. So you guys are free to talk and do whatever you want, as long as it's not illegal. And that'll be that. So, okay, Shay got something to say real quick.
We are going to be ordering Bibles soon, and I know some of you don't have a Bible and would like one. If you want one, come talk to me, and we can get you one.
Yeah.
So,
Free of charge. We're going to be ordering some. So if you really need a Bible, come get it. But if you're going to be one of those people who's like, I need a Bible, and then every 2 weeks, I need a new one, I lost it.
And the Bible we give you is
it'll
for
cost
you to
me a
take
lot of
home,
money.
not
It's going to be
leave
sad.
here. We want you to take it home. We want you to read it. So you can't just leave it here.
Yeah, don't leave it here. It's your Bible.
We'll be having Bibles for here, but it's for you to take home.
Okay, let me say a word of prayer real quick. So y'all bow your heads, close your eyes, and let's go. Dear God, thank you so much for this day. God, I know that we had a lot that we talked about in regards to Storge love, but God, it is the first type of love that you introduced into society, God. That you showed us what a family is supposed to look like, God. You gave us that example from the very beginning of creation. God, I pray that every person in this room, no matter their situation at home, understands the responsibility, God, to love their families, to show them affection, to show them care, and God, that they would go out of their way to make sacrifices if necessary to spend time with their family, to not neglect them, to not shut them out of their lives, God. And I pray that if there is fighting, God, if there is hard relationships, there has been mistreatment, God, I pray that you could come into those situations and bring healing. God, I pray that you could convict any student or parent who's been doing things the wrong way, who's been mistreating their family. And God, I pray that you could allow that person to see the error of their ways so that there can be a return to that healthy family love that we so desperately need in our culture today. So many families are torn apart because they don't have Storge love present. And God, we want to see that be reversed in this generation. We want to see that ended, dead in its tracks. And I want to see I hope every youth in this room goes on and gets married and has a wonderful, beautiful family raised up and under their faith. I don't want to see any more divorce in this world, God. I don't want to see any more bitterness and ugliness, but I pray that you help us know that it starts with us as individuals. Are we choosing to love our family even when it's hard? Because if we aren't willing to do that, then we're just going to add to the problem in this world. In Jesus' name, amen.